In today's video, I will be continuing my eeveelutions gijinka series. The chosen eeveelution for today will be Espeon the Sun Pokemon, and the Psychic type evolution to Eevee. Hello, I am Sky and welcome to my channel. It is time for another gijinka design since the last one was over 3 months ago. It's been a while. Let's just go ahead and jump right in with, of course, a sketchbook spread of just jotting my ideas down for the design. In the past, I have called this my first draft, but I think I may just change it to be kind of more of my brain dump section of this process. Just a section where I'm putting my first ideas down on paper instead of just being in my head. I like to give each of my gijinkas a personality before designing, and when it came to Espeon, the first thing I tend to think of when I see an Espeon is quiet, really to themselves, very graceful, and maybe sophisticated. Like I see very much like a fancy person kind of would own an Espeon. I see their personalities kind of being like Weiss from Ruby or Haruhi from Ouran High School Host Club. I want her to be the more responsible sister to Eevee that teaches her how to have good manners and how to behave correctly. She would totally show her how to sit at a table with the no elbows on the table and how to correctly set a whole table with all the different spoons and where they would go. Very fancy. The aesthetic I chose for my Espeon is Ren Fair. I wanted her to look as though she may be going to or just left a Ren Fair. So a lot of layering, frills, corset, ribbons, just the normal things you may see when we're at a Ren Fair. I think I was going more for the princessy look people do, so just kind of looking really regal over looking more like a fawn or a fairy, or just looking very like she's fancy. My initial idea I had for her was I wanted her to have a lot of layers, kind of like the bubble fairy that I have seen on social media. I didn't truly have an idea for how I wanted her hair to be, but I just knew that I wanted her to have some type of bun or ponytail that its shape resembled Espeon's ears. I also knew that I didn't want to portray her head crystal thing as just either like a birthmark or some type of part of her skin, but instead I had the idea of giving it to her on her hand instead and letting her have the ability to actually use magic by getting power through the stone that she wears, really stepping into that Ren Fair magic vibe. And yes, Eevee would beg and beg her to let her use it and would get shot down every time. I think after the second sketch, I was getting a really good grasp on her design and the direction that I wanted to take her as from the sketch and further into her design. I keep the hairstyle, her corset, and a variant of the top throughout the rest of the design process. The third sketch, however, in the sketchbook spread, is where I really saw the design I liked most and that I really felt like was Espeon to me. It was the pants. I first was imagining her in a dress or a skirt, but as soon as I drew her in these flare pants, I knew that that was the direction I wanted to take her in. It just gave that sleekness to the design that I wanted that I think was missing from the first two sketches. It yelled Espeon a lot more to me than the other sketches did. I went in with some rough colors like I always do with all these projects, and I mainly wanted her to be purple because of course Espeon is like 95% purple, with the other colors being a dark blue and then of course her red from her jewel. With my sketchbook spread now finished and having more of a grip on the design that I like for my Espeon, it is time to move on to my digital drafts of her. Gonna be honest, up front with this draft, I hated it. I had no idea what I did or what I was thinking, but this draft helped me see what I absolutely did not want her to look like. Just like from the last sketch in my sketchbook, I kept her hairstyle, the corset, and kind of the same shirt, except I changed it to a full button-up instead of her shoulders being out and it gathering around her neck. I think it helped to give her more of a sophisticated look rather than a stylish look. The mistake I made was when I was looking through some reference pictures of Renfrew outfits that more utilized pants over skirts. They looked fantastic and worked really well. However, when I did it, she just looked like a pirate. I don't know what happened, but it was not what I wanted at all. However, something I did like on the pants was the addition of the bow and ribbon on the side of the pants. I don't know what it was, but this just screamed pirate to me and not Ren Fair at all, but I guess you could be a pirate at a Ren Fair, but it was totally not the vibe I was going for. I just didn't like it. Some rough color, once again, nothing too crazy, but now that I was working digitally, I was able to color pick from an actual reference of Espeon. I think at the end of this draft, I was happy with the color choices. She is definitely purple, but not elegant nor sophisticated enough. I am saying that word quite a bit in this video. On to the final draft for her. The final draft was, again, kind of a struggle for me. There were many drafts I may or may not show. I might not even have them all because I may have just deleted them out of not liking what I was doing. I tried to go back on doing the layered look in this draft, and there was just something about it that I did not feel very Espeon, or it felt over-designed but under-designed at the same time. Now, something I did like about this draft was I tried to add a big bow to the back of her outfit, and that sparked something I put into the actual final design. Now, as I was talking, you may have seen that I sketched out a pose as I attempted to just quote-unquote restart the final design, but I liked the styling of the face and pose I did for the top half in the earlier final draft sketch. So I just kind of took it and cut it and added her bottom half. I did take the ribbon idea from the earlier design and I mixed it with the idea of the ribbon going up the pants on the side from my second draft, but instead made the bows really big and had the ribbon tails be like Espeon's tail, where it splits into two. And I knew that I did it. This was the design that I liked. I then did add some frills on her pants, as well as adding some cuffs on her shirt just to add a little bit more visual detail to the design. I think visual detail is definitely something I could work on, just adding little bits and bobs to outfits so that they just look a little bit more interesting. When it came to colors, I do feel as though the colors I chose may have been on the side of too saturated and dark, and that there needed to be lighter purples and just lighter in general to match Espeon's colors a little bit more. I did go in and really mess with all the settings / like hue, saturation, opacity. I messed with it quite a bit. It was kind of hard because I wish I did the colors on separate layers. When I do these designs, I put all of the layers on I put all of the colors on one layer, and when I mess with the hue and saturation, it messes with like the skin, or say if I like the color of something, if I go in hue saturation, it'll mess with that color. And I really just need to learn Clip Studio Paint a little bit better, but that's okay. Sorry at the end of the speed paint that there is some flashing colors. I noticed at the end that some of her skin was actually erased. I think this was from me trying to render out her skin and I was totally doing it on the wrong layer. I meant to do it on a masking layer, and I totally did it on the actual layer part, and it just erased some of her skin, and she was see-through for quite a bit of the design process. So some of her fingers and face was just, you could see through it, and we don't want that. So I was using the bright green to help me see what parts needed to be fixed, and after I went through and fixed it, she was all better. I think it is time that we can finally take a look at the final design of my Espeon gijinka. I'm really happy with the way she came out, and I hope you like her too. Some final thoughts on the design is that I absolutely love her. She is probably my favorite gijinka design so far, that I believe that it is to be expected, as my design skills are slowly but surely improving with each design. I probably am going to like the design I do that's newer, because my skills are getting better. My favorite part, I believe, may be her ribbons on her pants and her hair shape. The hair, I think, is one of my favorites, since in the shape I was really playing with the ends of her hair to try and portray the ends of Espeon's tail, and I feel like I could really play with it to either make the shape more prominent or less prominent. I do feel like with every design I am finding new things that I want to try when it comes to rendering and line art. So if the renderings of each one looks a little different, to me they don't look that different, because I am using very basic shading and highlighting and just rendering. But if they look a little different from each other, that is why. I am having an idea of when I finish this series, I may go back and tweak some of the designs. I may or may not have already started and have already made some design tweaks to my eevee, just so that they're more cohesive with rendering style, but also so the designs look a little bit more like they all go together, as I do just see my style changing little by little as I practice and experiment more. I do hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you're new, maybe consider subscribing to see more eeveelution designs in the future. How many do I have left now? 3? 4, because I have Umbreon, Glaceon, Leafeon, Sylveon left. So I've done 5 out of 4. We're over halfway. Wow. I'm just now thinking about that. I'm over halfway done with this project. We're getting close, so if you want to see the rest of them, click that subscribe button. Or if you're just interested to see more of my art and my art journey, consider staying a while maybe. Thanks for the support to those who are already subscribed. The support means so much to me. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you had some fun and got some inspiration from watching this video. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you get to eat your favorite snack, have your favorite drink, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!